Wait for it. Wait for it. And we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, the Stabby Chaos Coordinator, and one Chief Shenanigator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let our guest, Ella, introduce herself. I meant to ask you before we started how to pronounce your name because I'm probably going to butcher it. So I'll let you say it.
So I'm Ella. In Czech, you would say Jezdikova, but I say Jezdikova.
Okay. Well, I would have guessed right the first time on how you say it, not the Czech. But it definitely is a unique name, so you don't have to worry about finding 12 just like you with some of these names.
Yeah.
So when I typed your last name in, even spelled wrong, there was nobody else that popped up.
That's funny.
Did you ever consider like using a pen name? I know some people with hard to spell names end up going with a pen name for their last name for ease of searches.
Well, I did think of it, but I do run this Instagram account, Ella Nutella Recovers, so I thought I would just go with the same name that I have there since I have.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you a huge Nutella fan, or did you just go with it because it's alliterated?
I love Nutella, even though it's alliterated. Because it's alliterated, it works even better. But I love Nutella. It's my holy grail.
Okay. Do you eat it plain on ice cream, on bread? How do you eat your Nutella?
Any, but I love taking a big spoon and just scooping it up and putting it in my mouth.
Okay. I never developed the taste for it. I mean, I know people that do, but it was just never the nut and chocolate thing like that didn't work for me. Maybe I'm just lying to myself that I don't like it because of the calories and I'm working on getting healthier. So that could be it too. Because sometimes I have to tell myself like I don't like things that taste really good. So that way I don't get weak. But yeah. All right. So before we dig into this interview, we do have to do the religion question. So are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
Ooh, Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so you like them in order.
Yeah, I do. I watched them a lot as a kid because my dad is this huge Star Wars, Star Trek.
Because he raised you right, clearly.
Pardon?
I said because he raised you right, clearly.
Yeah. And I love Star Wars. I would say that that's my biggest, enjoyment.
Okay. Is there anything about Star Wars specifically that you like?
I love the way that it's so unique because I feel like in its time, Star Wars was something completely different that no one expected. And it's insane. It's just so cool.
Okay. Because we are polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, Game of Thrones, Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia?
I remember as a kid, I used to read Chronicles of Narnia every single day. It was my biggest hobby. I loved the films and I loved the guys in it. Yeah, I had a huge crush on the main character. And I would say that the books were amazing, better than the films though.
I was always disappointed that my closet didn't lead anywhere cool.
Yeah, exactly. Completely agree.
Now, I know because you said you were raised in the pre-show, you said you were raised in Europe and you're living in the Czech Republic right now. Mm-hmm. And so those buildings tend to be a lot older, so you don't tend to see closets. You tend to see the wardrobes like in the movies. So did that make it even more relatable? Because like we didn't have wardrobes, we had closets, but it was as close as we could get in the U.S.
Yes. But I lived the majority of my childhood actually in Malaysia and Bahrain. I only moved back to the Czech Republic a few years ago, so yeah.
Okay, so you are a world traveler already.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Do you have a favorite place you've traveled so far?
I love New Zealand. I really want to become a doctor, which I want to do writing and doctorness. And right. I'm really excited for the future and what it will bring.
Actually, the guest whose episode I will be posting as soon as we're done with this interview is a doctor who did just that. She writes books about doctors in sci-fi settings, Jenna Finelli. And she's like a doctor in South America, like going into some of these villages and carrying the equipment to do like Doctors Without Borders, but it's her own company, basically.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. New Zealand is unique. You know, that's where they filmed The Lord of the Rings because it's the only place on Earth that I'm aware of that has all of the geographic types in one place. So you could get all the different scenes, like the mountains and the fjords and the waterfall. Like it has everything you could think of geographically in one place. and they turned the Hobbit village into like a tourist trade place.
Yeah, I went to the Hobbit set, and that was crazy amazing. It was like seeing my childhood in real life. It was so cool.
I've seen pictures. I haven't gone to New Zealand. The only places I've traveled internationally were when the Army sent me places. Were the Hobbit holes smaller to give scale, or were they normal sized and then they just did it with like shots?
They were normal sized, and some of them were a bit smaller, depending on where you would go in the Hobbit place. And it was really interesting. I'm a huge I love acting as well, and filmography, cinematography. So seeing all the behind the scenes was insanely cool.
Now you had mentioned that you with your naming that you have your own Instagram and all that. Do you have pictures on there if the listeners like what you're doing and follow you of your trip to New Zealand? Did you include that in there?
Yeah, I do. I started posting a little bit after before I went to New Zealand. So that was my first like big posting when I was in New Zealand. So that was really amazing.
That's cool. All right. So back to the previously scheduled religion questions before I get distracted, as I always do. What are the crying shames of adulthood as we stop asking ourselves the important questions? And thanks to the generosity of our sponsors, we're bringing that back. And I'm going to ask you, madam, what is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite question. I loved dinosaurs as a kid. So a pterodactyl. I think the name is so cool. And genuinely the wingspan. Oh my gosh.
So do you remember watching Jurassic Park for the first time then?
I do. I watched it a long time ago though, but I remember sitting on my sofa in Bahrain and watching Jurassic Park, and that was an experience to say the least.
Did you get into Camp Cretaceous that when they went back with the kids that they did in animated form?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I watched that with my youngins, and it was kind of cool to see the way they like overlapped all the lore from all the different franchises in the background, which was kind of cool. Now, if you like dinosaurs, what about Land Before Time and Land of the Lost, the other idyllic dinosaur movies?
So I was more into the science side of dinosaurs. I loved learning. I had this huge book about all different types of dinosaurs, their sizes and different bone weights, because as a future doctor, hopefully, I was really big into anatomy. So this was more what I looked at instead of the films. But when I did look at a dinosaur film, it was definitely Jurassic Park.
I know like people that are into the anatomy and the biology and like the sciencey stuff are built a little different. My aunt's a nurse, and she was talking to my youngin when he was like 5, trying to gross him out. So he would like, if you don't go do whatever we said, and I think it was like pick up his room, I'm going to tell you all about this part of the human body that's really gross. And he's like, wait, if I go clean my room, you'll tell me about it? And we're like, yeah, sure. That's exactly what she said. Because for him, that was just like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
For me, like, yeah. Not my thing, but
I was actually in the bookshop today and I bought Grey's Anatomy, the huge 800 or 1,000 page one where it has all the diagrams, and it's the original copy made into a modernized, unabridged version. It's so cool.
See, for a second, I thought you were going to be like the bookstore sold the TV or the movie series, the TV series.
No, sadly, no. I love Grey's Anatomy.
Do you watch like doctor shows differently since you're like studying that on your own and judge it?
Well, I don't watch much TV. Recently, I've been reading a lot. I got back into the reading after I finished my exams. So I finished most of ACOTAR. I finished what else? I finished the whole Boys of Tommen series. Lots of romance books. I have been reading a lot, which I've been really grateful for. And yeah, so I'm excited to see what else I'm going to read.
Okay. When you say you read, do you read with your ears like audiobooks, or are you more of like physical, tangible copy in your hands, or ebooks?
I am a physical person. I have a Kindle, but I don't use it that much. I prefer to own a book. I'm looking at my bookshelf now, and I've literally got a floor to ceiling bookshelf full of books that I love, love, love.
I too have a collection of print copy books. Now, when you collect them for your collection, are you getting paperback, or do you prefer hardcover?
I prefer paperback, but I do have my favorite book series. I have in both paperback, hardback, or hardcover, and yeah.
So for me, if I'm getting it because I want to read a physical copy, although I do most of it with my head injury, I do most of my reading with my ears. But when I want a physical copy, I prefer paperback. But if I'm getting it for longevity, like I just want it to my collection, if it's available, I'm getting hardcover just because it just looks cool. And there's something about the weight of it, right? Like, especially when you get a book that no one else has read yet, so it's got that new book smell.
Yes.
One of the coolest things. So I live in Southern Virginia, and so we have Colonial Williamsburg as like a historic spot we can go to, and I love going to the print press there and watching them like go old fashioned and like make the newspapers like it was a real. It is so cool. Like there's just something about the book building process that's kind of cool to watch. And then with my master's degree in history, like we actually focused on document preservation at like a surface level. It's cool to see the printed word and like what's involved in making it to the book we hold.
One of my dreams is to go into a book factory and just look at how they make, ideally my book, because that would be really cool. But I just want to see how they make books because it's just so cool.
You know, I haven't done that. I know we've interviewed an author who runs a gaming company, so his books are like game books, and he's so obsessed with the way the book is made that he bought land and he's in the process of building his own printing factory for his game books.
Wow!
Because he's like into the books that much. It's Troll Lord Games, and I'm like, I appreciate the dedication to a good print copy because he looks at books and he's like, oh, this paper isn't a good enough stock. For me, if it's not like the newspaper / phone book kind, like where it's like really, really flimsy, I'm okay with it. But some people like they get real fanatical about like the weight of the paper and stuff. So
I get really fanatical about the color of the paper. If it's too white, I really don't like it. I like that kind of beigey.
Oh, yeah, the aged look.
Pardon?
The aged look that makes the paper just feel kind of eternal. Yeah, I'm with you. What about font? Do you have a preference for font? I know this is getting hella nerdy, and I'm sorry, dear listeners, I'm having fun.
I like Times New Roman. I don't know if I said that correct.
No, you did. You good.
And when I type personally, I love Lato, but I don't like that in a physical copy. I prefer Times New Roman.
I used to say TNR 12 or BUSC. Times New Roman 12 was the standard academically, but I'm a little bit older. My eyesight ain't what it used to be. So now it's Times New Roman 14, but it's still Times New Roman. It bugs me that the default isn't that on WordPerfect on Word documents.
Yeah, I actually really hate Arial. It's very nerdy, but I really hate the font Arial.
I think we could be friends now. It's official. All right. So before we dive too far off, we have one last religion question. Are you ready for this? Because we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, we are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes. I'm going to ask you, madam, coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
Oh, coffee, cafe latte with lactose-free milk because I'm lactose-free. Ideally, coconut milk, because I do love coconut milk. And if it's summer, I will have an iced cafe latte. An iced cafe latte or a caramel frappuccino. These words are very big in my mouth.
It's okay. Now, you mentioned because you're living in the Czech Republic, but you grew up all over the world. Was English your first language, or did you learn something else first?
So English was my first language. I lived in England for 5 years when I was born, next to London, tiny town. No one really knows it, Orpington. And then I moved to Bahrain where I had to study Arabic. And my parents are Czech, so I spoke Czech with them. It's actually a funny story that my mom loves to tell at parties because I hated the Czech language. I still do, sort of. I can't even write in Czech. It's a really difficult language. And I literally told my parents that I would not learn Czech. So they told me they would not speak to me unless I was speaking in Czech. So they basically forced me to learn the language because they knew we'd eventually move back. So at least I know Czech now.
It's an interesting sounding language for sure. I've used it before in writing when I wanted something to sound alien because it's so different from English, like acoustically.
Yeah, it's very different. I would
Now,
say a lot of the Slavic languages are
yeah,
they're really
yeah.
similar as well. I was looking at my Bulgarian friends, like she was typing something, and I was like, I can kind of read that. So
Now,
yeah.
is it similar as in like the various languages, the various dialects of Spanish are similar to each other, but there's differences, or is it more closely like Spanish and Portuguese as far as
So
similarities?
I would say Spanish and Portuguese, the similarities would be Czech and Slovakian, but
Right.
Czech and, for example, Polish, that would be a bigger difference than Portuguese, I would say, and
Okay.
Spanish. And I myself, I studied Spanish for 5 years, so like I'm a B1, B2 now. So I do read a lot in Spanish as well.
I don't know what B1, B2 means. You do things
It,
differently education wise in the UK or in Europe.
yeah. So I love languages and anything literal, anything with words. It's always been my favorite. This is a bit nerdy, but I used to write poems when I was a really small girl, when I was like 5. And then there's this UK competition called Young Writers Co UK. And I submitted a short story there when I was 9, and it actually got published.
Oh,
So
cool.
I have sort of been published as a kid, which I still think is crazy cool.
No, it is. Although I will say, we've talked about it in the pre-show about your age because your profile says you're 15. Although I understand you just had a birthday, so happy birthday. So for me, like you're still a kid, but the idea of publishing at 9 makes us hate you even more. Because I wish I had known that that's what I wanted and started that much sooner. Thinking about all the books I could have out if I'd started that age.
I think writing's just always taken me somewhere else, and it's always been an escape for me, just like books.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading a lot at that age. I just never took my stories like to writing it down. I remember writing a fantasy story when I was in like middle school. So that would have been like 6th or 7th grade. So I guess I don't know how you guys do it, but so we have kindergarten, then grade 1 through 12. So it was, grade 6 for me. And I started it and I got really, really detailed about everything about this guy with his sword. And then I got bored with it. And suddenly after 5 pages of setup, I like finished the story in 1 paragraph because I was like, okay, I'm done. So I just didn't have the patience at that age to finish anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
sorry?
No, go ahead.
I think writing it's always been something that came naturally to me. Like even my English exams, because I have to take English for IB and GCSEs. So English has always been one of my favorite subjects. So I'm very happy that I'm in the position I am now.
Now your IB, is that your college exams in the UK?
Yeah, so we have, I think they do it in America as well. It's International Baccalaureate.
Oh, yeah. International Baccalaureate. Yeah, okay. I know what those programs are. We have those here too. Yeah. So are you on the college track then? Because I know like at least overseas, like they have a working track. And if you do that, you're done at 16 and you go into a trade or whatever. And then you stay if you're going the college route. Is that how it is where you're at?
Well, in the UK, it's that you have your secondary school. So I basically just finished my secondary school by taking my GCSEs. So I can do minimum wage jobs in the UK. But now I'm doing like 6th form as if in the UK. So year 12 and 13. So sophomore and senior. I don't know.
It's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So you're doing your last 2 years?
Yes.
So has that been something that shocked everybody in your life that at your age you have a published book and a contract?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really talk about it because I feel like it's sometimes showing off, but I'm very proud of myself, and it's something that I won't really understand until I hold the physical thing in my hands, which December 1st in America and November 24th in UK and Europe. Please go pre-order.
Now, what was the process? Because, TradPub is a lot slower than the small press indie market. What was the process once you wrote this book? Like, did it take a while to get through? How old were you when you actually wrote the first draft?
So I started planning when I was 12-ish, 13-ish. It was around the time of my birthday. And then when I was 13, I wrote it. Like I spent a lot of the summer, a lot of because I was in the hospital for some problems. So I spent a lot of that time in the hospital writing, and I wrote and wrote. And then I had a first draft, which was crazy. So I printed it. I sent it to all my teachers and I was like, here, please tell me the harsh criticism. And then they said, this is really good, Ella. And they gave me the motivation to send it to publishers. So I think I emailed about 15 publishers. I know that 7 rejected me. Most of them didn't reply, and I got 3 contracts. And 2 of the contracts weren't ideal, but 1 contract was really good, and that's the one I have now with Collective Ink. It's an amazing publisher. I love Collective Ink. They've been amazing with my journey. So I really recommend.
Were your parents shocked, or did they know you were sending it out?
So I think my parents were really shocked. I still remember that day when I came home with the contract and I showed it to them, and they were like, Ella, this is serious business, like this is actually a real contract that you have to sign. So I still remember that day when I was sitting in the kitchen and I was just showing them the contract. So it was very bittersweet, I would say, more sweet than bitter.
So did you look through the contracts on your own, or did you have your parents help you for the 3 that you got?
No,
So you did it all yourself.
I did it all myself. I Googled publishers, I emailed publishers, I wrote template emails that I rewrote I wrote a template email, I wrote a media kit, I wrote extracts. I read a bunch of different publishers, their requirements. It was really varying between publishers. And then Collective Ink got back to me, I think within 4 months. And they said they would like me to continue continue with them. So I sent them a revised draft, or and I don't even know what number draft it was by that point. And they edited it. I always love saying edited it because it's really nice. And I sent that to them, the edited version, late 2025, and the final version late 2025. And then they did the cover, they set the publishing date, and yeah, we are almost there.
So did they know that you were young when they signed you, or did you keep that to yourself?
They did know. I felt like that was a really good aspect to show. So I stated I'm 16 or 15 at that point, and I wrote this book. So it was a big angle that I used because not many people have that angle. So yeah, they did know. Okay. And they said it was pretty impressive. So I sent them some other works, and yeah, that was that.
Okay, I'm throwing the cover up. We're still doing the get to know you as a nerd part, but since we were talking about the journey, I figured I'd throw that cover up while we were talking. So with this, with the writing stuff, is this something that you still do? Because you mentioned that you like to hold the books in your hand. Do you write by hand? I know some authors that will write their first draft by hand, or do you just do it, with technology and use your computer?
So I do all the planning by hand. I have huge files or notebooks where I have lots of outlines, lots of different character mind maps. I do all the planning by hand, but then I write on Reedsy. My favorite app is Reedsy. I write on Reedsy, and I set a goal for every day between 200 to 3,000 words to write, and that's that.
Okay, I don't think I have heard of Reedsy. What is this?
It's a really amazing app. I was searching. It's actually where originally, before I went through traditional publishing, they offer editing, they offer producing, cover making. So before I got the contract with Collective Ink, I was thinking of self-publishing with Reedsy. Well, not with Reedsy, but self-publishing with some resources that Reedsy provided. And I love it so much. I don't have premium. I'm working towards convincing my parents, but I really love Reedsy. You have a tracking of how many words you wrote, deleted, how many you want to write in a day. It gives you reminders, and it's my favorite app for writing.
Okay, I'm just looking up. Okay, it's similar to Scrivener, which I'm familiar with.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
I tried Scrivener from my teacher. I prefer Readsy though.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, when you write, like this one is fantasy, do you think you're going to stick with fantasy as your genre, or are you going to bounce all over the place?
This is my favorite question. So I'm in the process of writing the second one. I have it all planned. I'm like halfway through writing, I would say. So the book is part of the series. The Thorned Prince is a part of the series. So the next one, it's because, yeah. And I am also writing something else, and that's a bit different. That's more science and romance based. I don't know if you know Ali Hazelwood.
Mm-mm.
So she writes like very science, like the love hypothesis. And I'm not taking it from that aspect. I'm taking it from where I grew up in the UK, a little further south, and a bit of a vibe about, you'll see, it's in the process. So I hit 10,000 words last week on my manuscript, so that's was a nice achievement.
Given that you're doing your writing around school schedule and your life as a teenage girl, how many words are you getting a day?
I so I started this series on my Instagram account because I have two Instagram accounts. I have Ella Nutella Recovers, but I also have Ella Jezdikova, where I post writing content. And I don't have that many followers on Ella Jezdikova. So I said I started this series that how many followers I have, I write that many words in a day. And I've kept this up for 5 days. And I've already written like 5,000 words. So that's a really good motivator. But I would say it's really difficult writing as a teenage person who has school and everything. And I think it's going to be even more difficult next year with the IB. So at least it will count for Cass. Those who know, they know.
Okay. Wow, that's one way to motivate yourself. And so anybody else who's because some of our audience, we focus on like talking to readers, but some of them are also writers. And when they hear you, basically what they're going to be hearing is, I have no more excuses. I need to write.
I find myself, whenever I read, I tell myself, well, this will be me, and this is me. And the only way I can make this me is by making this me in some way, by writing. So I always envision the life I want, and I work towards that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Now, with the Ella Nutella Recovers, is that recovering from your addiction to Nutella? Is that what the joke is?
No, I had an eating disorder that took over my life for many years. So
better.
Yeah, it's a lot better. I'm recovered now, but I used to record my journey when I left the hospital. So I built a community of people who are recovering or are helping people recover. So it's a big community that I love. So yeah.
As someone who advocates in the mental health area through the TBI stuff, because they got hurt when I was in Iraq, I appreciate anyone who could put themselves out there vulnerable to help other people, because it's not easy. Like, it's basically like ripping the Band-Aid off and bearing your soul to the world. And that is not something that a lot of people are capable of doing. And I don't say that like as an insult to them. I get it. You get to those places very personally, but it is commendable that you're trying to help people come up behind you so they don't have those problems.
Yeah.
So
I think when I was struggling a lot, it was about 4 years ago, and I didn't have that online person to look up to. So I tried to become that every day by making videos, by comforting people, by replying to DMs. I just try to be the person I wish I had, if that makes sense.
It does. It's like with the PTSD for me and like the survivor's guilt and stuff from the war. That's one of the things I do as well. Like, it slightly inverted, but like try to be the kind of person that they were worth, sacrificing for, right? Yeah. Like make it worth their while. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, but there's that scene. It's the World War II Normandy movie with I can't even remember the actor's name anymore. But like one of the lines is that they tell him is, you better make this worth it, because people died to save this guy. And I try to make that as an action verb for myself, and it sounds like that's essentially what you're doing is trying to make the sacrifice you went through with your issues worth it by helping other people.
Exactly.
super commendable, but we don't want to get too dark and too dreary because having fun with the Fun Ella vibe. That could be your other handle, Fun Ella. But so when it comes to like speculative fiction, are you going to stick with the YA subgenre, or do you think you'll expand around? Because I mean, speculative fiction is a big umbrella. You could go a lot of places with it.
Mm-hmm. I would like to go the way that I read. I don't know if that makes sense, but I read a lot of YA. I read a lot of romance, rom-com. Well, not rom-coms. Well, yeah, rom-coms in books. So I love sticking with that. However, this is a funny story. The Thorned Prince actually started out as a crime when I realized that maybe I am not a good murderer and I don't think I can write a good crime book. So it turns into a fantasy and into everything I love. But I do remember that day when the idea came into my head. I was walking in the rain and there was an umbrella, a couple walking again, like in front of me, and they had an umbrella. And I just imagined there was red blood going beneath them.
Okay.
So stupid, but that was how the idea came and how the Thorned Prince exists.
I get it. We are all subjects to the world around us. I used to write in coffee shops before I started worrying about like getting healthy and watching my weight. And so you could sometimes tell what coffee shop I was in by names because you might like catch a little bit of the various blends I was drinking at the time. Yeah. Makes its way into. So we all include the environment we write in as part of our process. Mm-hmm. So
and I think I've paid tribute to that idea of the rain because in my book, The Thorned Prince, Cassie can control the rain and she can control the weather. So I've paid tribute to that idea through the book. And yeah.
Okay. So with the process for you, do you think you said you're going to stick with broadly YA subgenres that you're reading? So you're basically saying as you evolve as a person, your writing probably will too. You're not going to like pigeonhole yourself in one narrow thing.
That's exactly what I would say.
Okay. Well, we've been kind of talking about the book because I find it fascinating that you started so young. And like I said, kind of jealous. But so we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly show for the man. And then when we come back, we'll talk nothing but your literary masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
From darkness to destiny, Layla awaits. Blinded by fate, Eric awakens to a new life on a remote farm, cared for by the enigmatic mute Layla. As secrets unravel and adventures call, can love conquer the shadows? This gripping fantasy, unearthed from antiquity, delivers pulse-pounding action, divine interventions, and timeless themes of worth and courage. Layla, available on Amazon. Ignite your imagination today.
All right. Thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude. And with that, we will get back into talking with Ella about her book, The Thorned Prince. I will throw that cover back up. So first, for those listening, because like I said, we do have a decent amount of our audience that are audiobook folks. Do you know if Collective Ink, I think you said Collective Ink, right? Mm-hmm. Are they going to be doing an audiobook of this, or is it going to start with just print and ebook?
So it's going to be a print and an ebook, but depending on how successful it is, there will be an audiobook. I'm very much rooting for an audiobook, and I do already have some thoughts of how the characters would sound. So I think I would really love to be on board for that process of creating the audiobook.
I have been on the back end of working with audiobooks. It definitely helps. And if you're thinking about this like long-term, you would be ready. Any word that you have in there that's weird sounding, or you want like be able to write out certain things phonetically, a cheat sheet of like, these are my characters and these are ones that are going to speak with various accents, like having that ready in advance. I will tell you, the first time you work with an audiobook person and an audiobook editor, because you know they edit the audio, it will change how you write, because you realize certain things that we say don't, like, you get nose blind almost to it, but then when you say said every other word when it comes to like the audio side, it's like so glaring. It definitely changes your process as a creative once you realize someone's going to read this to somebody out loud.
Yeah.
So
My school knows that I wrote this book and they got me to read a bit of it. And it's always, I hate reading out loud. So
Me
it was
too.
very awkward in my opinion, but it was nice to hear how it sounded.
Now, given that you're, I guess, trilingual, because you said English, Spanish, and Czech, is there any plan for foreign language translations?
I would really love that. I have so many places that I'd love to take this book. It should be part of a trilogy, maybe a duology. I'm still thinking it's definitely going to have a second book because it ends ambiguously, let's say. So I would really love to have a bigger like fan base and a bigger bringing. I'm lost at words now. A bigger, oh gosh.
It happened. I've done hundreds and hundreds of interviews, and when I'm on the other end of the microphone, I freeze up too. I get it. Don't feel bad. It happens to all of us.
Yeah. But I'd love to take this book somewhere because it is a huge part of my life now. I am working around making like jewelry with this idea, and yeah.
Cool. What kind of jewelry are you thinking about making?
So I've DM'd and emailed a few British small businesses that do book necklaces. So there's charms, and you see the cover, you see the Thorned Prince on it with yellow. So that yellow has a meaning. There's a lot of hidden meanings in this cover. So once you read the book, you'll realize it. And that's what I wanted because I love when covers have hidden meanings. So these hidden meanings and these small aspects I think are really important. And I want to put that into jewelry, into an everyday thing.
It's cool. Well, I will say that I didn't know there was yellow on the cover, but I am also colorblind. But even colorblind, I think the thumbnail and the image works. Like I could see what's on the page. Mm-hmm. Not all book covers are colorblind friendly. So there are some I'm like, I have no idea what's there. Let me just show the image. But even with the shading, I could tell this is a forest scene with the. It's hard to tell in the darkness if it's a path or a stream, but either way, it still works. So.
I think that's the point that you can't. It's a bit up to interpretation.
Yeah, and I don't mind like ambiguity when it comes to that kind of stuff. I just sometimes the covers, like I said, they try to go so dramatic with the coloring that it makes it like, at least for people who don't see colors normally, the image basically becomes a blob. Mm-hmm. And this one does a really good job of balancing. I'm assuming you said the title is what was in yellow because that looks tan to me.
Yes, okay. The title is in yellow.
Now, was your sword that's on the cover based on anything in specifics? Or did you just kind of get creative?
So I got creative, but the sword that will have more significance later in the next book. But the really significant is the arrowheads, because as you can see or read in the blurb, Cassie, she falls to a deadly arrow in the very start of the book, in the first 10 chapters. So it's really important, those arrows, and I hope that the readers pick up on that.
Okay. And just so you're aware, I just did the math because I was curious at this point. You were officially my 900th interview. So
wow.
So one of the things we do, we like to call it the mom question, jokingly, because my co-host is a mother. When you say, obviously, YA, not all YA is created equal. Some of the YA audience in the books are not necessarily geared to what I would consider actual young readers. So what would you say the age range is for the Thorned Prince?
Well, since there is blood, I would say like 11 to 19.
Okay. So basically the people of the age of when you wrote it forward would be probably appropriate, because you said you wrote it 12 or 13. Okay.
I think even older, but I don't know if they would enjoy it. It's a lot about, it's a 17-year-old girl who's going through her struggles under her family's pressure, and it's about her navigating the world. So I don't know if that would appeal to older ages, but of course it's open to older ages.
You'd be surprised how many people read YA that are even in their 80s, and it's a lot of people will read it because it is they know it's clean, and so if they care about like not having mature content, shall we say, if they for various reasons, and so I'm always surprised at who reads what genre, and the YA has a significant complement of older readers. So you might be surprised who your target demographic is, and it might not be the kids you were when you wrote it and who you wrote it for. Now, I don't know, depending on your contract, like what information they will give you, but yeah, I would not rule off the old folks when it comes to reading this book.
Okay, that's really interesting.
So when you talk about this book, you mentioned that the idea came to you walking in the rain and seeing the umbrella. Was that the entire impetus, or was it a combination of other things that you sort of brought together when it comes to like the idea creation?
Well, I would say this book is a lot of me. It's a lot of how I grew up, how I wish I was strong, how I wish I developed as a character. It's also a lot of like the main flower in the fields is a sunflower, which is my favorite flower. So that's where the yellow comes from, by the way. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but yeah. So sunflowers are my favorite flower, and that's why I definitely incorporated that. So I would say it's many aspects, but I think for me, with brainstorming an idea for a book, it's really simple to take one idea and start making a story out of it, because then I'll naturally get into flow stage and I'll naturally start writing. So that's my favorite part of writing is definitely the planning stage, not the editing stage.
The world building is dangerous because you could lose yourself for years if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So I feel your pain on that one. So with the writing process, like some people make it up as they go. They don't think about it too deeply. They just get in the flow state and they write. Other people are like very meticulous where they plan it out to the nth degree and then they write the story. For you, for your creative process, given that you're doing all of this against the backdrop of some health issues and now obviously school, do you find you outline more, or do you still just wing it?
I outline a lot. I'm really meticulous with my outlining. That usually takes the outlining takes ages, even more sometimes than the writing, because when I outline, I go into real details. I write character building, world building. I write about every single chapter. I write what happens, what the audience should take from it, what the reader should feel when they read the chapter. So I go very detailed when I plan.
Okay. Now, when you talk about you have like in your head how people will sound, do you use so when I write, because I do co-writing, I will find a picture of a model. And one thing I learned through that process is how creepily scary it is what you can find out about models as far as like their personal, down to like the size of the shoes and the clothes they wear. It's useful as a creative because I can make sure no matter how I describe the person, if it comes back to that central image, we're good, right? So I don't have to use the same word brown every time. I can mix it up as long as I'm describing the same picture. And by having all that information, I can be consistent. Do you find when you do your writing and for your character creation and your audio in your head, are you using real people, or are you just kind of making it up as you go?
Yes, I use Pinterest a lot. Every single scene has a Pinterest board. Every single chapter has a Pinterest board. So yes, I do use images of real life a lot.
Now, I saw on your Linktree that you have a playlist of music that you recommended for. So do you listen to that music when you write, or is that just setting the mood for when you read it?
While I write, yes. I would say it's more for when I write than when I read, but I know I wish I could write background music. Like if I do an audiobook, I really want to incorporate background music because there are specific scenes that I feel would sound amazing with a specific song playing in the background. And when you look at the playlist, there's the song Power Over Me. And I listened to this in the radio yesterday and I literally got goosebumps because I felt that it was my book in real life. It was surreal.
I like the idea of that. That would be hard to do just because of the logistics of like, copyright and stuff. But the it's I listen when I'm writing by hand. I listen as well. So although when you're dictating, obviously you need absolute silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun how everyone's creative process is a little different. Although there are some songs that just motivate you. Sort of like if you're at the gym and you're listening to the right music, it makes you lift harder and push through. Like there are some that do that when you're writing. So I'm with you. Do you have a preference as far as like genre of music when you're writing?
Not really. Like I do when I run, because as you said with the gym, I run a lot and I do love Macklemore with my running. But I think Shawn Mendes is when I'm writing his POV. While the Thorned Prince isn't dual POV, it's simply from Cassie's viewpoint. In some other things that I've written, there's dual POV. And I listen to Shawn Mendes if I'm writing a guy's perspective, because it just puts me in the mood.
Okay. When I'm lifting and when I'm running, for me, which at this point is because I'm getting back in shape, is like a brisk walk. But I'm digging Sabaton because it's a Swedish metal band. That's all the words are like historic, like they're talking about historic events, and I'm a history nerd. But so I get where that like plays into the writing side of things, because like certain music, like I could listen to some of that, for combat scenes and get it right. So now you wrote a genre that does include physicality to it, in the sense that in a medieval setting, even with magic, it's not like they can just get in a car, right? So they're walking, they're moving. What do you or sword fights when that happens, because there's a sword on the cover? Do you find that you actually like grab a stick and go out there and like block the movement so you can do it in your head?
I have videos of me. I do lots of time lapse when I write, because it motivates me, because it's like I can't get out, I can't stop the video. It just puts me in a mindset. So you have videos of me going like this and pathway, roll. You have videos of me just doing lots of hand movements, and it's quite funny to look back at.
So I write like with the mill sci-fi, we have a concept in the military called a sand table, which is basically, because you do it in the dirt or sand or whatever in the field, where you basically make a 3-dimensional battle map and like you plan out the battles. So I do that. So when I started writing fantasy stuff and I was actually getting swords, I ended up buying a couple just so I could figure out like how it would move without cutting your ear off, right? Because that would be awkward to have somebody critique your book and be like, yeah, that's all great, but Bob cut his ear off in scene 3 because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. I am a bit worried about the criticism when it comes to the realistic, because I've never, for example, there's a bomb in the Thorned Prince, or like there's an explosion. So I'm worried that I haven't written it accurately. I watched a lot of videos when I was writing it, but I'm worried about the criticism.
Well, if it helps you feel better, go to any of the huge mega authors, Brandon Sanderson, Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, and read their 1-star reviews, and you realize that nobody, even the greats, are pleasing everyone, and then you realize it doesn't matter. Because reader feedback is important. I'm not saying that doesn't matter, but like it's not the end of the world if someone out there doesn't love everything you do, right? That was the hardest thing to get used to when it came to your first book out in the wild, where people are actually like sharing their thoughts on it. Because it's your baby, right? Like you spend how many hours behind the keyboard? Like these are real people to you. They're not just on a page. And so I feel it. It's like the maternal instinct, I guess, for you, of these are my babies. But it does get easier, I promise.
I hope it does, because I have already received quite a lot of criticism from editors, and that has been difficult. I remember the first constructive criticism I got, I think I cried, because I was so sad. I was like, this is my baby, this is me, and you're criticizing it. So I've decided that I'm not really going to try and read the hate comments, because that's what helps usually in videos, when you don't read the hate comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't delete them, because they have the right to their opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't delete them either.
But yeah, it does get easier. Now, when it comes to like, obviously you're marketing this to younger people, and you're doing this well in advance. do you find that it's difficult to talk with these readers in these groups as part of your process when they don't have the physical books in their hand yet?
Yeah, definitely. It's like telling people to look at the sun when there's no sun, when it's nighttime. I don't know. It's difficult to promote something when I don't even have the physical copy. Like I have
Right.
the electronic copy, the proof. So I use that a lot, but it's difficult when I don't have a physical copy. So yes, definitely, to answer your question.
Now, are you getting out like readers' copies in advance for marketing that allows some people to start getting you feedback so you can kind of
Yes.
get used to the idea?
I am doing ARC reading, a program. I've sent it out to about 10, 15 girls and boys. And so far, I've gotten a lot of nice things. Like I've gotten fan art, which that was surreal as well when I received my first ever fan art. And I was like, this is exactly what I visioned in my head. And someone has this on paper. So that was really cool. And I'm working closely with this really amazing girl called Amy. And she's doing some art. She even did some art on her hands and stuff. With
cool.
It's just really amazing.
Okay. That is awesome that people do that. I've seen people like paint book covers on bricks so it looks like the book, and which is kind of cool. So that is fun. Now, with this, we've talked about the process of you creating this because, like I said, I'm fascinated with the idea that you did this at your age. But let's talk more specifically about the book. What can you tell us about the main character? Is it one main character? Is it a entourage?
So the main character is definitely Cassie Stormriven. As I said, she controls the weather, the storm. Like she has lightning, and it's a lot about her character development. And the first chapter is literally, I think it's like 7 words. It's 2 sentences long, which I love. I love short chapters. And this shows her brokenness at the beginning. And I really want to convey Cassie's development as a character over the 60,000 words. So I would say that it's really heavily focused on her development and how she experiences life, falling in love for the first time, rebelling against her family, trying to distinguish between what's right and wrong. So there's a lot of underlying meaning that I hope the readers will see.
Okay. Now, are there any secondary characters that were in this that you especially spoke to you?
So this is a character that a lot of people will probably overlook in the first book. It is Kaylin Durian, and this is Cassie's betrothed. So she hates him, of course.
Of course.
Of course, yeah, because she doesn't want to be betrothed. But Kaylin, let's just say that he's very misunderstood and he puts on a mask. So I want the second book to be focused, maybe even his POV, some chapters, because I want to show that someone can be very arrogant, but it can all be a facade.
Okay. Without spoilers, what can you tell us about the bad guy in this universe?
I'll say this. So there's the Midnight Rebels, who you will encounter about 30% into the book. And they are the rebellion against the monarchy of Caewyn. Caewyn is the place that Cassie lives. It is the world, the fantasy world, Caewyn, Caewyn, Caewyn. And the Midnight Rebels are rebelling against the monarchy that exists in Caewyn. So to develop it a bit more, Caewyn is split into 6 parts. Wait, 1, 2. I haven't looked at the book in ages. 1, 2, 3. 6 parts. I knew I was right. Sorry, I apologize.
You're fine.
And so Caewyn is split into 6 parts, 6 houses that each rule over an element. or a aspect of the world. And Cassie, she comes from House Stormriven because she's Cassie Stormriven, and House Stormriven control the weather. So they're one of the monarchs of the kingdom of Stormriven. I don't know if that makes much sense, but it's explained quite detailed in the first few chapters without explaining too much, I would say.
No, that's absolutely fine. Now, the name for the kingdom, you were writing this when you were still in the UK. Was that inspired by some of it? Because it almost sounded Welsh, the way you spelled the name out.
No, so I actually wrote it. I haven't lived in the UK for 11 years.
Okay.
But 11 years. And I wrote Kwyn with, I love the WYN. I feel like that's a really nice thing. Like it's really in Irish and Welsh. That's a big prominent part, WYN. But I thought Kwyn just sounded well. And the map is really, it has a place in my heart because it's my own signature written into land. I don't know if that makes sense, but once you see the map, you'll see that it is my signature with land in between the letters so that it seems like it is a land, like fully a land.
Now, I'm assuming that means that the print copy has a map in it, because that's one of the questions we ask all fantasy authors.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it has a map in it.
Did you do the map before you submitted it, or did you do that in conjunction with Collective Ink? Like, what was the process for you for the map? Was that something you already had?
I did the map completely by myself using Incarnate.
Oh, that's cool.
Pardon?
So that's really cool that you were able to get that effect with the name.
Yes. And I spent months on the map. I spent a week without writing, just working on the map because I needed to visually see where everything was so that I can calculate the times it takes to move between places and things like that. And it was really important for me to have a map that could also have a hidden meaning. So that's where the signature came in. So yeah.
I have tried to use Incarnate. We have talked to authors who also make maps as a side gig, in addition to writing and whatever else she was doing. It is not to say it's a hard program to use, but as far as making everything come together and then factoring in your name spelled out. Now, is it your full name or just Ella?
Oh no. So it's my signature is Ella Jez. So
okay.
It's like a swirly Ella Jez. And I think once you see the map, you'll realize how my signature looks like. And I'm hoping that if I ever sign copies, which hopefully that will happen, I'll sign it right under the map so that you have the map and the signature.
I have realized when I have gotten some orders from one of my publishers to sign, how much we've gotten different muscles that we use to type on a keyboard versus writing by hand. Because I took notes when I was in school, nobody had laptops yet. So I was writing everything by hand and it never bothered me. And now I sit down to sign 12 copies and I'm like, oh my God, my arm is going to fall off. So that is the thing. And then you've got to go slow enough that your name is legible. So people that want your signature right, they want to be able to read that it's your signature. It's a weird part of the process of publishing.
I have this small thing on my ring finger on my right hand. I have a huge bump from writing because I write so much for school, for planning. I just have this huge bump on my hand. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. It's called a writer's callus, I think.
I didn't know it had a specific name, but I know what you're talking about. Or you'll get an indent, right, if you write a lot where the pencil hits up. So, okay. So with this world, you've planned out at least one more book. Is it dependent on sales? Is that why you don't know if it's going to be a duology or a trilogy?
It's because depending on sales and also writing is so time consuming. I know I as a reader can read a 600-page book within less than 24 hours. But I know that writing that many words, writing 100,000 words takes months, if not years. It's just really difficult to write. So I love it. I would never I absolutely love it. I would never I don't know what's the word, but I love writing, but it's just so time consuming. And since I want to study medicine, that's also really time consuming. So I'm worried I won't have enough time to write 3 books. So yeah.
So the goal is to finish it before you start college while you're still in year 12. There you go. No pressure though.
No pressure, just 2 years.
So through the process of the draft 1 to working with the editors at Collective Ink, did the book change substantially, or was it more just refining what was already there?
Yeah. I still have my first draft printed somewhere in this room, in my huge mess of a room. And it's changed so much. Like, I even changed the tense because it was originally in past tense, but then I realized that it fit better and I can write better in present tense. So I think that's the biggest change. But I would say a lot of the world building has stayed the same. It's just developed a lot.
Okay. Now we do try to keep these interviews to an hour. And obviously we're at the point where any further questions I would have, because I don't care about spoilers, would be spoilers, and our listeners do care about that. So one fun one for the road. If you could live in this world, would you?
Yes. Well, okay. So it would depend on what power I would have, because whether I would be like noble fae, monarchy, or whether I would be normal fae, so, or human. So I guess it would depend on my status, because that also plays a huge role in the world.
So it's the answer to all the questions is, generally speaking, yes, with enough plot armor.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a favorite character? I mean, obviously we love all our babies equally, says the dad. But do you have a favorite character in this book?
Yes. Elise, the maid, because she plays a bigger role in the end. And yeah, and I really love Kalen, because even though he's like a really mean person in the first book, I think I can really play on his character in the second.
Okay. Now, we did say this is sort of medieval. Are we talking like swords and sorcery style? Is it like more steampunky as far as the world itself?
I would say it's very fantastical. So magic, lots of swords, lots of arrows. Arrows.
Okay. I have that. So very traditional fantasy vibes.
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. Castles. Do we get castles?
Yes, you get castles.
All right. What about dragons? Because for me, if it doesn't got castles and dragons, it's not fantasy.
There's no dragons in the first one, but I've already gotten so much comments about dragons, so I'm really working towards writing dragons in the second one.
That's awesome. Okay. If people wanted to check you out on the wild interwebs, and obviously, dear listener, we will link all of this in the show notes. Where might we do that? How might we follow you online to watch your journey in your books?
Well, ellanatella.recovers, or literally just Ella Jezdikova on Instagram and TikTok. On YouTube, it's Ella Natella Recovers. And then you can literally just search up Ella Jezdikova, and it will find you my acting profiles, my famous birthdays. It will find you a lot of links with me.
Okay. With that, this is the part, dear listener, where we remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books, and it really does make a difference. So do your part, people. And with that, you could find us on our link tree, linktr.ee, linktree/Blasters and Blades podcast. Again, linktree/Blasters and Blades podcast, where we link to all the things: the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitters. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. You can email us at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. For professional purposes only, people save the shenanigans from Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. These episodes aren't free to produce, and we appreciate your patronage. So if you want to help out, be sure to put in the comments that it's for the podcast, and I will make sure you pay to keep the lights on for one more day. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. This was a lot of fun, Ella. We definitely will have to have you back because you had a lot of insight, and I was enjoying it. So with that, thank you for coming on.